Hello, welcome back to Race Day Live. We're taking a little bit of a time out, as we say, before we head back to action at Wolverhampton and to Deauville in France. We've got Nicky Henderson, as you can see, who needs no introduction. Why have we got Nicky Henderson? We're at Newcastle and Newbury at the weekend, fighting fifth at Newcastle, the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury. It's not inconceivable that this man could win both of them. But let's start with the fighting fifth, Nicky, and with Constitution Hill. I know you've answered this question a million times or more, but I have to begin with it. How is Constitution Hill? What's the latest?
No, we've had a good, actually, in the past few weeks have all been positives, to be fair. He's been to Newbury, he's schooled, he had to Worcester actually once, then Newbury. Newbury was very good. He had a gallop yesterday, Nicky was very pleased, and he schooled, and to be fair, touch wood, things have gone according to plan anyway.
Unusually, Nicky, with those Newbury gallops, we get to see them, of course, and last year people were a bit sort of concerned, weren't they, about the gallop, which is difficult because, of course, we've got no context. We don't know. I mean, we knew it was Sergino, and we now know what Sergino is, but visually they looked very different workouts, didn't they, this year and last year? Were they totally different? Is the horse in a different place? Was it? I mean, how did you feel after this year compared to last year?
Well, you're right. It's a totally different place altogether. It is the danger of doing these gallops in public. You lay yourself open to everybody's, they've quite rightfully got their views. But to be fair, last year, yeah, he's miles forward of last year. At the time, though, nobody really, I was trying to explain that this is quite a good horse in front. Since then, Sergino has proven what we were hoping, that he is a very good horse. He then went on to win the fighting fifth himself. When we had to step back from Constitution, he was actually lame after that Newbury gallop last year, but he got back in time for Christmas Hurdle, which was great. Yeah, he's miles ahead of that this year. Everything. I mean, the Newbury gallop was good. There wasn't anything like Sergino in that gallop, I have to admit. But what he did was visually good, and in fact, it was perfect from our angle as well. Nicky was well happy with him. And it was a big step forward. And so he worked yesterday only because it's a funny thing to do on a Monday, but on the other hand, that was last Tuesday that he galloped at Newbury. So I was just trying to spread it out between the Newbury gallop and the race itself.
Where is he now, Nicky, in terms of, because fighting fifth could be an outstanding race if everyone who might turn up does turn up. But also, Christmas is still on the horizon, of course. Presumably, you go back for a shot at that, and then the champion hurdle in the spring. So you have all of these things in mind, all of these moving parts in mind. Where is he now in terms of, his maximum sort of potential?
Well, I think you'd have to say he's in the perfect place for his first run of the season, and really cannot do much more without a race. He's not going to. You can go on galloping around race courses and at home and do what you like. A race it does bring out the adrenaline, comes out in them, and he's well ready for a race. I'm not saying there won't be improvement. There always is. But we've been well aware of what's going to be put in front of us. The Lion, and he's always been heading there, and Amsterdam looked the protagonist. I mean, there were 4, and then there was a 5th one supplemented, and I mean, I'm sure they're no bit players either. Where the pace comes from is going to be a little bit interesting, but we'll worry about that bit later. No, I mean, he's ready and rearing to go, I've got to say. As long as we get through the next 3 days in unscathed, it's all systems go, and he'll be travelling up there on Friday.
Excellent. You were chatting on the course the other day to Nicky. I think it might have been to Haley Moore, I can't remember, but you mentioned getting some of the Newcastle hurdles sent up to Seven Barrows, exactly the same type of hurdles, the big black rubbery sort of hurdles.
Yeah.
Were you able to do that, and how has he reacted to them?
Well, actually, the idea was actually to take him to Kempton. To Barney kindly sort of said we could go and jump some hurdles, but in fact, with the Newbury gallop coming last Tuesday, they couldn't really, the schedule didn't really need him having another away day at the time during that, within a week of each other. It's those away trips are geared to winding the horse up a little bit more. And Barney actually kind of said, well, instead of bringing the horse to the hurdles, we'll bring the hurdles to the horse. And he brought us some a set of those hurdles so he could actually jump what he jumps at Newcastle, and to be fair, also the ones that actually got in the way at Cheltenham and Aintree. And they're funny hurdles, these. I'm not convinced about them, and I don't like them as schooling hurdles. They might be all right in a racecourse, but for schooling, I don't like them, nor does Nico. I don't say the horse doesn't like them, but we use different ones at home, although, we let them see something that looks remarkably like a big rubber hurdle that is on the racecourse. We see that, but them in their own set. I mean, Barney was great, and we just we let him see them. That was a couple of days ago. And it was great. He jumped them really well.
Oh, good.
He jumped everything well. We've done a lot of. We have done more jumping this prep than I've done with nearly any horse, really. But it was only to make sure, to be sure. And he's now he's got his eye in.
Excellent. Excellent. We could talk for hours about Constitution Hill, but we mustn't. We'll let him do the talking finally on once again on Saturday. I mentioned you could do the double header with the big race down at Newbury as well, the Coral Gold Cup, because you got Hyland in there who runs off 1:45. I've got written down here, which he ought to be very competitive of. But we know a handicap mark is only when the conditions are right. So 3¼ miles, Newbury, probably good to soft, goodish sort of ground, looking at the forecast. All of that should suit, shouldn't it?
Well, good ground is pretty important to him. Yes, and he had he had a great season as a novice last year. Unfortunately, it finished in the Grand National, but up until then, everything had gone really well. And he'd won and been second in the Feltham, and he had a great start as a novice. And I think novices do have a fairly good record in the Coral Cup. I know we've actually won it with, I think, Trebolgan and Bobswood. Well, I'm sure they were both, Bob and Trebolgan were both novices when they won the same race. So they have a record in there. I mean, it's always highly competitive. But he historically, it says he's a good jumper. He loves good ground, which I hope we're going to get. There is obviously some rain around before the weekend, but I know the chase course at Newbury hasn't got slow as yet. The hurdle course is a lot slower, but hopefully it will be nice ground. Whether it won't be fast ground, I hope. I'm sure. No, but he wouldn't mind if it was actually. Yeah. It's very competitive, but it's been our plan all through the summer that this would be the target. He's had a run at Cheltenham, which he did need quite badly, and the ground wasn't that good. So we think we're in a pretty good place.
I was going to ask you about that run, because in the market liked him a lot at Cheltenham, and I think he was second favourite in the race. But you're saying he will take a big step forward, because he'd probably want to, wouldn't he? He
takes a lot of work. You have to ask him the questions, really. It was easier off starting last season when he was a baby novice chaser. They're kind of races, but he had to go into a big handicap at Cheltenham in order to get a run. And he wasn't sharp enough on the day, but I hope that will have done the job.
Excellent. Long distance hurdle on the Friday at Newbury, of course, Nicky. You've got Impose Toi and Doddiethegreat entered. Will one or both run?
I think at the moment the plan is to run both. The timing is right. They both had a run. Both ran very, very well. Doddy started in the Weatherby staying hurdle. His first step up into graded class, having won the Pertemps and then been second in the big handicap at Punchestown. He stepped up into graded class for the first time. He ran a great race. He had to make the running that day. I don't think he enjoyed it. I'd say he didn't enjoy it. He was just looking at the stands and the car park. He never concentrated at all. And he nearly got him home, actually. I'm rather hoping we won't have to make the running this time. And he's in good form. Impose Toi, he was mighty consistent the back end of last season. He was second in the Coral, 2.5, 2.5 at Cheltenham. Then went to Aintree, was placed again. punches down, placed again. And then his first step up to 3 miles was at Aintree in a per temps qualifier with top weight. And he's a notoriously lazy horse at home. He shows us nothing. And I was surprised he was fit enough to do what he did. And he actually won quite comfortably. Consequently, again, handicappers got him, and he has to step into graded class himself. But this is it, we find out whether we are a potential stayers horse or just a very, very good handicapper, in which case we'll have to go down the per temps route. But he's going to have a lot of weight come the final, which they both did last year. So we're hopeful. It's a big test.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to go there, though, haven't you, with that kind of mark. Just finally, Nicky, because we're conscious of your time as well. Lulamba, of course, made an excellent chasing debut. What did you make of it, and how has he come out of it?
It was hard to know what to make of it, only because there weren't enough fences. He had a nice settle down learning over the first 4 fences. The next mile and a quarter didn't have any fences because of low sun in the back straight, and then he jumped the 3 up the straight really well. Yeah, I mean, the horses in the race, there were no mugs at all, and I thought the performance was pretty smooth, to be honest with you. He's come back extremely well. He does. He's the most amazing character, because even after the triumph last year, I was all for putting him away, and he was just so fresh. We were actually going to take him to Aintree. Henry Main, who rides him every day, does a great job, because this fella can bark and squeal and play a game. He's a horse you have to love. He's just so enthusiastic about what he's doing, and he's come out of that very well. So we're being tempted really to come back quite quickly and head for Sandown weekend after next, and have a look at the Henry VIII. And I think, that's where jumping will be tested, whereas Exeter didn't really test his jumping, but he's been very good at home, and that's why we are going down the Novice Chase road rather than possibly the Champion Hurdle one.
Excellent. It's very exciting. I love seeing him over fences. I can't wait to see him around Sandown. Plenty of fences around Sandown. That will be a test for him in his rhythm as well. Brilliant, Nicky. Many thanks for those updates. Really appreciate your time.
Not at all, Sean. Pleasure.